Audio test. Second audio test.
Kia ora koutou katoa, nau mai haere mai ki It's in the Ballot. Koe nei e nei. Okay, kai tono e tu ai ki te haere kai kaunihira Māori I Te Whanganui-a-Tara. Kia ora everybody, good evening and welcome to It's in the Ballot, where these candidates are standing to become the first Māori councillor for Wellington. But as with every election, there is one thing standing in their way, and that is your vote. Good evening, everybody. And to start off, I would like to say a huge ngā mihi to Nico Weinera, who has helped me with tonight's translation because I just did not have the time. Thank you so much. So unfortunately, we do not have an electorate video tonight. So no, we do not have a ward video tonight. Wrong elections. So we're going to go straight into opening statements. Nico, would you like to start?
Hi. Is there a time? Or? Okay. Just stick to two-ish. All right. Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko tainui te waka, ko whitireia te maunga, ko raukawa kawa te moana, ko takapūāhia raiwa ko honguaka ngā marae, ko Ngāti tō rangatira, rātou ko kaitahu, ko Ngāpuhi, ko Ngāti pā hauwera ngā iwi, ko te rauparaha te tupuna ariki, ko Nico Weinera tōku ingoa. Tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora everybody at home and in the audience. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Nico Weinera and I'm the Green Party candidate for the new Māori Ward on the Wellington City Council, Te Whanganui-a-Tara. My stance for this election, my ambition is to create a compact, sustainable city with affordable housing, world-class public transport, and forward-thinking climate resilience. I have a number of ways that I'm going to deliver on this, but my top priority that overarches all of these is returning our land, our water, and our assets back to tangata whenua. You'll probably hear a bit more from me tonight, but I've been in Wellington, born and bred Kiwi my whole life. I had a brief stint up on the beautiful Kapiti coast, just out of town, and I returned for university, where I studied taonga puoro playing traditional Māori instruments, along with te reo Māori and also German. Following that, I served in the New Zealand Army, and I'm now standing for the new Māori Ward on the Wellington City Council. I'll leave it at that for now with te whānau, but kia ora, thank you very much.
Yes, I love the audience participation. Brilliant. Yes, I have. Brilliant. All right. Thank you. Ellie, your turn.
Ali Hamlin Painga, kia ora. Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi maana kia koutou, ko Ali Hamlin Painga, ahau, no te atanga mahaki, no Ngāti Kahungunu, ki here taunga, he Māori ahau. I am standing here today to represent Māori. I'm an independent and I represent the voice of all Māori. I am standing for this electorate because I believe that the Māori voice is missing across all aspects of council business. Affordable housing, infrastructure, arts, community, and all those things that make a city vibrant and aspirational. A Māori voice must be heard in all aspects of every community as a tariti partner. And that's what I am here to represent here in Te Whanganui-a-Tara. I will do everything possible to ensure that the Māori voice is heard at every decision, at every discussion, at every moment in time, and I will create the space for that to occur. Ngā mihi, kia ora.
Thank you for that. Unfortunately, Matthew Reweti is unable to join us this evening, but he has sent us in an introduction video and his answers to be read out for him. So we'll go to that video now.
I'm the Labour Party candidate for the brand new Māori Ward, Te Whanganui-a-Tara for Wellington City Council. I'm sorry I'm not there tonight, but I have sent some answers. Hopefully they might make some of the show. If not, I guess I've got ammunition for my Twitter account, @PonikiMatt. Anyway, have a great night, Sam. Have a great show. And hopefully we'll see you back at the Johnsonville Market sometime soon. Thank you. Mā te wā.
All right, so now we're going to take a quick technical break because unfortunately my co-host was unable to make it at the last minute, so I'm doing both jobs today. So I'm going to move myself down to the other end and we'll see you back here in a minute. Thank you.
We're driving cars on a Mars tonight. We're passing off to the stars tonight. We wanna go, go. We wanna go, go. We're driving cars on a Mars tonight. We're passing off to the stars tonight. We wanna go, go. We wanna go, go.
All right, and we are back for the ballot box questions. So in these 30 boxes here, we have randomised questions that have been submitted from the Wellington community. 28 of them are questions, 2 of them are booby prizes in the style of it's in the bag. 1 is defer the question to another candidate. The other is dodge the question. The point behind these is to try not to use them because it means you're getting out of a curly question. However, if you do pull them, you get to choose another box. And if you don't use the card, you can keep it as a souvenir. So would anyone in particular like to start or would you like me to choose?
Okay, I think we're good.
All right, Nico,
Okay.
choose a box number, please, 1 to 30.
9, please.
9, all right. Change hands because I've learnt this trick. Sam has sealed the boxes up nice and tight. And that is question number 17. So, do you think it's appropriate to have so much central and southern housing land used for vehicle storage such as car yards? What will you do to find alternative accommodation for these businesses so that we can have more housing?
Shall I stand or sit?
Totally up to you.
Okay, let's sit. So I think there are 2 questions there. The first is about the provision of car parking and car storage spaces around our city in general, and the second one is how we can densify housing by using our existing land provision. So to answer the first part of that question, my stance is that by the end of the decade, we need to cut our personal vehicle usage by at least 50% in order to meet our urgent climate change obligations. Now, that's not going to be an easy task because a lot of our whānau do drive cars to commute around the city, my whānau included. And also we have to consider, elderly or our whānau living with disabilities who may need mobility access that can only be achieved with a personal vehicle. That said, I think that the land that is currently being used for car parking spaces and vehicle storage could be far better used as social housing, affordable housing, public green spaces, and all other manner of public amenities that we can offer in a capital city. To answer the second part of that question, I think that in terms of how we can densify housing well, I think we should absolutely look at what kinds of provision we have in the South Coast in terms of our land, our central city as well, and use our zoning laws smartly so we can create density done well without blocking access to sunlight, water, community, etc. That said, we do live in a harbour surrounded by hills, and unfortunately it is my belief that the only way is up. Kia ora.
Fair enough. All right. Ellie, would you like to choose a box number, please?
3.
3, all right. Apparently I still haven't learned to do this, that's all right. Just a little bit. That is question number 16. So how do you propose to foster a more positive public impression of more active modes of transport, such as cycling and walking?
Well, I think first of all, we have to consider all modes of transport. Obviously, there is particular parts of the community where cycling and walking absolutely suit them. However, when we work with the most vulnerable of the vulnerable, that isn't always the case. Often cycling, and especially cycling and other modes of transport which are associated to climate change, are often a middle class response to that. And so we have to understand that the connectivity of all people, not just those who can afford it, not just those who are able to, and especially with vulnerable communities and those communities who take care of intergenerational whānau, walking and getting people to where they need to be isn't always the option. So I think it's about collectiveness, it's about collective intelligence, and it's about working with everybody and not just particular parts of the community.
As somebody who cannot ride a bike, well, no, I can ride a bike, but I am unable because of disabilities, and who is also not allowed to drive, I like that answer. Thank you very much. Now, are we able to choose a box for Matthew? 13? All right.
Testing.
Okay, and now we'll go to question number 18. Delaying projects that reduce climate change is a well-known strategy by climate change deniers and the fossil fuel industry. What will you do to ensure projects are started and completed in a timely manner and not delayed constantly by small groups of people? Give us just a moment.
It is important that the community has the opportunity to put forward differing points of view through public consultation. However, councillors are elected on their policies and promises. Good governance takes into account pros and cons and relies on elected officials to make decisions. I am standing as a candidate who believes climate change is real, is here, and requires action now. I have worked for WWF, the Worldwide Fund for Nature. It's my opinion that we should take both macro and micro measures to reduce our ecological footprints. I'm looking forward to a future for my children and their children. Thank you.
So we have our usual editor, Ray, reading those questions out for Matthew tonight, and he is playing our cameraman because I am on the stage. So, Biko, choose a number, please.
21.
21. Let's not forget the snippies. There we go. And that is question number 1. Should Wellington City Council social housing firstly be offered to those who are locals?
Okay. My first instinct is we should prioritise those within our city to receive city resources. But that said, it is a fact that we are currently, as a country, facing a housing shortage. And we are seeing rapidly rising rates of homelessness in all of our major urban centres, and the lists for emergency housing in motels, which are disproportionately Māori, are rising in an incredibly concerning way. So yes, I do believe we should look after our own whānau living within the city, but the government has been forced to make some pretty tough decisions and look at relocating whānau when the supply of housing is simply not sufficient in their own area. So I suppose my short answer is yes, but there's definitely a consideration to be made for those who are most vulnerable and do not have any other option. I think our city should be a role model in looking out for them.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Ali, your turn. Choose a box, please.
10, please.
10, no problem. And that is question number 26. The council has to push through some big and expensive projects, particularly Let's Get Wellington Moving and Rapid Transit. Do you think you are up to the job?
Absolutely, I'm up for the job. I have a reputation of getting shit done. And I do that because I'm action focused. And I believe that in order for a place like Wellington to flourish, people like myself who are leaders already in the community need to create the space for these things to happen. I am part of an organisation who has a national presence, who will soon be internationally on the stage to talk about the things that matter most to the most vulnerable. I have increased an organisation 500% over the last 4 years, not only in workforce, but also in income streams. I create strategy and I lead from behind, and I ensure that those with the expertise that I don't have are given the space to do what they need to do.
Fantastic. Yes, audience. All right. All right. Can we choose a number for Matthew, please? 26. All right. And that is question number 3. When I find it, there we go. Do you support more housing in the ward? And if so, how would you see this achieved?
I love that he's answered every question. Yes. By voting for support, widespread flexible zoning, which encourages... Oh no, let me start again. Yes, I support this. By voting for or supporting widespread flexible zoning, which encourages developers to build good quality, densified housing. Also resourcing council to speed up consenting. And supporting more apartment conversions in partnership with property owners, Te Kāinga. I would encourage council partnership with Mana Whenua to develop the 6,000 square metre Granville flat site. This should be a model for best practice, high quality, sustainable housing. Kia ora.
All right, thank you for that. Let's mix it up a little bit. Ali, would you like to choose another box?
11, please.
11.
Birth dates.
Ooh. Gotta love those meaningful numbers. And that is question number 14. Did you attend the protest at Parliament in March, and what are your thoughts on it now?
No, I did not. What I did do, though, is support those rangatahi and those tamariki who were ended up being, as a result of taking care of those who didn't have the opportunity to be informed and make a decision. I do not support anything that doesn't allow the voice of others to take the stage. And I absolutely did not support that march, and I would never support information that is false and information that does not come from the whakapapa of our tupuna as Māori. Kia ora.
Fantastic. Nico, choose a number, please.
Maybe number 1, please.
Number 1. All right. And that is question number 23. When will you bring in household food waste collection to stop this waste from going to landfill?
Kapai, that's actually a really fantastic question. There is a wider issue about waste within the city that has a number of really innovative solutions that have been proposed. Obviously, the biggest factor that has led to this current situation has been progressive councils failing to invest in our waste infrastructure. So what I'm proposing to manage not only household food waste, but all waste in our city is a circular waste economy where we can eliminate the landfill model as much as possible and create collection sites around the community where waste can circle back, be recycled, and then return into a usable fashion without ever leaving the community that it actually came from in the first place. That said, I'm committed to building a waste or laying the groundwork for a waste-free capital city by 2040, which I believe is a realistic target if council is ambitious, takes into account mana whenua expertise on resource and waste management, and looks to successful examples internationally, of which there are quite a few. Kia ora.
Fantastic. All right. Can we get a box number 4, Matthew, please? 4? All right.
Oh, that answer gave me goosebumps.
All right, and that is question number 5. I believe we need housing for everyone more than we need drafty heritage buildings. How will you support more housing against the naysayers in Wellington? When he finds it in the list. Same
Bear with
place
me,
it's
thank
always
you.
been.
Oh, I wasn't sure. No worries. I'll stay seated. Keep this stuff together. Okay. I believe we need housing for everyone more than we need drafty heritage buildings. How will you support more housing against the naysayers in Wellington? Please see my answers for Pātai, Tuarua, and Tuatoru. I think we answered one of those.
I believe that would be the hard-hitting questions, actually.
Ah, okay. No worries. That makes sense. Yes, thank you.
All right, so we will come back to that answer a little bit later, I believe. That brings us back to Ellie. Choose a box, please.
Oh, my age is gone. 21. Oh, let's go 22. Let's go a year out.
21?
Oh, it's 21. Oh, no.
Oh, no, it is gone.
We'll go-
Okay, you were right in the 1st
We'll
place.
go 22. We'll just
All
go
right.
a year out and see if I've learnt anything in the last year.
You get dodge the question.
Oh.
So you can hold on to this and you get to choose another box.
Oh, let's go the upper end of 20. We'll try 20.
20. We saw that. There he is. All right, that is question number 8. Wellington has long been known for its vibrant youth scene. What are you going to do to make sure young people can drive change in the city?
Rangatahi are our future. I absolutely support rangatahi in everything they do, they say and they be. Part of supporting rangatahi, though, is to ensure that they have the backing of kaumātua, not me, but kaumātua. They have the backing of they understand their whakapapa, they understand where they come from, they understand where they are going. The way that I would do that to ensure that people, that our rangatahi have a say, is doing what I do now. My mahi allows me to work alongside these rangatahi. It allows me to ensure that they have a voice. It allows me to ensure that they also have the support of other kaimahi to support them. One of the things that I support is also the voting age, and alongside civics and civic education, that they be given the opportunity to have their say through the most appropriate channels, but also to be able to have the support of those of us who have been around just a little bit longer. Kia ora.
All right, thank you, Ali. Nico, choose a box, please.
17, please.
Sure. If I can get it out of the box, there we go. Right, question number 28. Some councils have actively supported hate speech against cyclists. Do you think this is appropriate, and what will you do to stop it in the future?
This is a funny question. Well, in some ways, because I recently made a submission on a quite an omnibus public transport and cycling proposal that was put forward by the regional council, and a certain member of that council, whom I will not name, had some pretty interesting interpretations of what cycling looked like, who in the community uses it, and the whole cycling culture that he seemed to really be against. So I'm a firm supporter of cycling. All of my flatmates ride bikes. Only one of us owns a personal vehicle. I walk everywhere personally, but I hop on the bike when I need to get somewhere in a hurry. There's really no excuse to be picking on cyclists in our community. People who have the ability to cycle and choose to do so are doing a favor for their own fitness and for the environment. And I think that whilst not everybody does have the capacity to hop on a bike, I think we should definitely respect those who choose to do so and offer them options within our city infrastructure to pursue their hobby and use that sustainable mode of transportation.
Very nice, thank you. All right, can we get a box number 4, Matthew, please? 26? All right. Oh, no, sorry, 26 is gone. Can we try again? 27? We have that one. All right, that is question number 11. We know we need to pay now for essential upgrades that previous councils have avoided because of pushback from homeowners and fear of rate spills. What will you do to stop pushing these expenses onto the younger generations and ensure that the city is maintained as it should be?
His answer is as follows. The two biggest instruments for council to pay for infrastructure, like pipes, roads, libraries, and swimming pools, are rates and debt. We need to look at other revenue streams. This will involve working with central government because there are current limitations on what other actions councils can adapt. You're right, underinvestment has come back to haunt our city. Previous councils have kept rates artificially low. I'm committed to making the hard decisions in council to prioritize projects which are necessary and defer others. We can increase the rates, but spread the cost by having more people paying. So building more houses is very important. Building densely is also important. Logically, if we fix central pipes in the city, we can then build above those pipes. However, our chronic housing shortage still requires flexibility across a broad citywide plan. Kia ora.
All right, thank you. Switch it back up again. Nico, choose a box.
Could I please have number 2?
Number 2, sure thing. All right, and that is question number 22. The council has committed to normalising te reo in Māori. No, the council has committed to normalising te reo Māori in Pōneke. There we go. What will you be doing to ensure that we can achieve this?
Kia ora. Obviously, massive supporter of te reo Māori. I did not have the privilege of attending Kohanga Reo, mainly because of where I was living at the time. But as soon as I went to university, I hopped into Māori courses, and I'm proud to say that I, in about 3 years, increased my proficiency to the extent that I could talk with my father, who studied earlier in his life, and he is a fantastic, beautiful Reo speaker, and I was privileged to grow up around him. In terms of normalizing te reo Māori, I'm absolutely in favour. I've loved seeing the reo in new places. It seems like every week we find it somewhere else that we haven't seen reo before. And it really makes my heart sing to see that reo rangatira all over the city. This doesn't just extend to token plastering on billboards, though. I think council should look at targeted investment in qualified and quality reo teachers, because that, as I understand it, having spoken to a lot of community education providers, is where the communication of our reo and the teaching of our reo falls over. That lack of teachers is something that I believe the council can have a really good effect on in terms of funding for community organizations that train people and find people who have these skills. But it's also a matter of self-determination. I think the council should work with mana whenua to bring experts from their own rohe to teach their own reo and include their local dialects, their mita, all of those factors that don't necessarily get covered in a standardized reo class. So yeah, absolutely in favor, and should I be elected councillor, I would love to push for more funding for reo courses within our city.
Awesome, thank you. Ali, choose a number, please.
5, please.
5 it is. And that is question number 24. Many people want to cycle around Wellington but live up or downstairs and don't have anywhere to store a bike. Do you support the provision of secure, weatherproof bike parking on city streets so that people can keep their bikes in the same way you currently support car owners?
Yes, I absolutely do. I appreciate that many parts of the community have require different forms of transportation, and that cycling is one of them. And obviously, in many places in Wellington, the car parks have been reduced somewhat. Not always a good decision in some places, however, it has happened. So yes, I do agree that bike parking should be allowed, and I do agree that all forms of transport should be considered in the bigger picture of ensuring that we are taking care of everybody's needs as well as we possibly can.
Brilliant, thank you. Right, I'm a little bit broken, so I'm going to stay seated for now. Can we get a box number for Matthew, please? 3 is gone. I'm sorry, try again. 18, all right. Hey, brilliant. Look at that. Hey. Well, you get to choose another box because Matthew has got to defer the question to another candidate. So I'm going to throw this at you, Ray. Whoa, sorry, I missed. All right. Ray, would you like to actually choose a box number this time? Tacoma Rua, 12.
At least you can say
12.
All right, and that one is question number 7. There it is. All right. It feels like every progressive project in Wellington gets stopped by those who don't like change, i.e. judicial reviews for roading projects. How will you ensure we can become a better city to live in and not be stopped by not in my backyarders, also known as NIMBYs?
Sorry, could you repeat the question number?
7.
One moment. Matthew's answer is, I am a progressive Labour Party candidate. I have contributed and agreed to a list of policies which you can see here. That's a Google Drive number. Are we going to share this document?
We won't share the document, but we can share any links that are in there. I can do
say
that
his
when I
whole,
get home tonight.
Because he's answered every question and some of them refer to other answers, so it would be quite good to have that available. I support these progressive issues and policies. I might be able to open that and... No, we'll come back to that another time. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll move on from there then. Nico, choose a box, please.
Let's go number 6, please.
Number 6. All right, making it easy on me. Thank you. And that one is question number 25. There we go. Internationally, cities that are nicer places to walk around are considered better places to live. What will you do to improve the experience of pedestrians in Wellington, such as wider footpaths, less on-street parking, more green spaces, protection from the wind and rain, etc.?
Kia ora. So immediately following high school, I had the opportunity to live in Vienna, Austria, which is widely considered to be one of the most livable cities in the world, with fantastic public transport, awesome walking, cycling infrastructure, and really clever street design for personal vehicles. So I've seen firsthand what a livable city looks like. And admittedly, they do have a few perks of geography over us, like, for example, they don't have hills. But that said, I firmly support all of these measures. In addition to these, I think something that does often get left out of the conversation when we talk about sustainable and livable street design is disabled access. And that was one thing that I felt was lacking in the recently proposed Golden Mile plan for our central city. I think we need to ensure that even things like bus stops or indeed light rail stops are accessible for our elderly and disabled whānau. And we should also provide options that guarantee mobility parking and other disability amenities around the city. So yeah, totally tautoko all of these things, and think that wherever we implement them, we should be thinking of our disabled whānau as well.
Right. I also noticed that that was missing from the Golden Mile plan, so thank you for bringing that up. Ellie?
23.
23? All right. Go stretch. Now I have high five stuck in my head. Oh, what have I done to myself? Sorry, everybody. All right, and that is question number 21. What are you personally going to do to role model climate action change, such as biking to work every day, going zero waste, eating a plant-based diet, and again, etc.?
Well, I think there's more to role modelling climate change than what's listed in this question. I work with the most vulnerable, and our people riding a bike to work isn't actually even on their radar. One of the things that is important to the people that we house in terms of emergency housing, transitional housing spaces, and social housing is the need to ensure that the basics of how to rid waste well, how to those real basic things, how to grow food. That's important in climate change. How to recycle. So some of these questions are actually not, they're relevant to some parts of the community, but one message is when you look after those, less likely to have a good experience than you look after everybody. I see climate change also as an equity issue. Kia ora.
Sam is loving that. All right, and a box number for Matthew, please. 29, I think we still have that one, yes? There we go.
I'm also a gardener and have been off and on for 10 years. Definitely learnt that there was something that was lacking in my formative years, connection to the land.
Yes, Ray has been gardening for a very long time now. Oh, landscaping, really?
Yeah.
All
We don't
right.
get to grow as many veggies as I'd like.
Yes, yes, we really don't have the soil for veggies at our place, unfortunately. Right, question number 4. This year, there will be a Māori Ward councillor. Ta-da!
Oh, wow.
How do you see Wellington City Council achieving true co-governance with mana whenua through you?
Bear with me on my te reo, but this is a long answer, the one that I was asking for earlier. Firstly, there will be a list of 2 mana whenua representatives on council committees. This question needs to take that into account. I would pursue a strong unified relationship with both representatives. I would support the representatives to achieve their goals. I would be an influential navigator with council officers and other councillors. I expect that the representatives will consult with their iwi runanga, so I would work with them to increase their voice and participation in committee. I would represent Māori of all iwi, so in return, I would seek the support of the reps to advance issues for all Mātāwaka Māori who call our city home. At the council table, where the mana whenua representatives do not participate, I would want to represent mana whenua. As one of 16 voices at the table, I would need to build relationships with the mayor and other councillors to progress issues for mana whenua. I have the relationship skills to work with different views and personalities to achieve results. Because I whakapapa te atiawa ke poneke, taranaki whānau, I can support the mayor and councillors with strong connections to my iwi. I can also provide important and relevant insights to support good governance. I can also support and influence their decision-making, which ultimately affects all Māori. Kia ora.
Oh, I reckon you did pretty good with that one, Ray. Thank you very much. Right, let's flip it up again. Ellie, choose a number, please.
19.
19, all right. We are. We're doing very well on the questions, actually. All right, and that is question number 12. Did you agree with the Wellington City Council's decision to require vaccine passes for entry to public ratepayer-supported facilities despite no scientific reason to justify the policy?
The vaccination wasn't just about the individual that received the vaccination. The vaccination was about protecting those who did not have the ability to receive the vaccination. As a Māori candidate, one of the things that we do as Māori is we take care of each other. And one of those things was to actually have the vaccination in order for those of our people who had the inability to receive that vaccination, comorbidities, complex health needs, and all of those matters. It's about taking care of everybody. And sometimes, you know what? You have to make that choice about looking after others. And so in terms of the vaccination, that was my position on that. I didn't have to take it. However, I needed to take care of others that didn't have the ability to do that.
Ngā mihi nui, Ali, that's fantastic. As someone who is immunocompromised and on immunosuppressants, I was actually in hydrotherapy at the end of last year while the vaccine passes were a go, and I actually stopped going this year when the vaccine pass mandates were lifted because I didn't feel safe being around that many people without a mask anymore. Sure. So yes, that is exactly why we do it. Thank you for that. Nico, choose a number.
Kia ora. Number 7, please.
Number 7, all right. Maybe, there we go. All right, number 15, if I can push the right button. There we go. What is your immediate actionable plan for upgrading decaying and failing infrastructure such as sewage, water and stabilisation of hillsides for critical routes and suspending non-critical projects?
Kia ora, absolutely. So the hot topic for this election is obviously going to be our pipe infrastructure. I think you would be hard-pressed to find a candidate this election who isn't going to promise to upgrade the pipes. So I'm just going to give that one a skip. But aside from that, I have a number of positions on increasing our city's climate resilience and upgrading our infrastructure to more accurately reflect the environmental conditions that we're going to be faced with this decade and next decade. I think over the past couple of weeks, we've had a small window into what weather events could look like in the future. And so I think it's incredibly important to work with our whenua to look at our land and allow it to do what it is designed to do in terms of supporting ourselves to a climate-friendly response. Now, this can look like ensuring that our streams are clear and carrying fresh water and are free of sediment. This can look like planting the right trees in problem areas to maintain that soil and keep the hillsides together. It can also look like stabilizing our whenua at the coastal levels with things like seawalls or building kelp forests to preserve the coastal erosion against rising sea levels, which is a very real possibility. All of these kinds of resilience measures are in the public good, and I think anybody who is going to be elected to this seat needs to have a really good idea of how we're going to implement these plans whilst respecting Māori customary rights in all of these areas. So yeah, I think infrastructure spending is incredibly important, and all those critical projects that are hot button issues this campaign, I'm committed to funding. Kia ora.
That sounds like a fantastic expansion on last night's flood mitigation question, actually. Brilliant. Ray, do you want to choose a box number this time, or are we going to the audience?
Let's pick a hidden number or something like 16.
Yes. There we go. Yeah, sorry, Sam, 17's gone already. You're pushing those buttons. You should know this. All right, question number 19. Wellington City Council will get extra rates revenue from increased housing density. What actual steps will you take to improve services to these corridor suburbs, including community services and utilities?
Michael's answer is...
Matthew's answer is...
Matthew's answer. Sorry, Matthew. Drive an urban redevelopment program as part of Let's Get Wellington Moving between the CBD and Newtown that includes housing, retail, business, and light industry. I will also support 20-minute walking catchments to stations on the Johnsonville line at the end of which I live. Cheers.
All right. Ellie, would you like to choose a number? Please don't say no.
Let's go for 30.
All right. Right up the end it is. So that is question number 10. What are you going... Haven't we done this already?
I thought we did.
Might have been a similar one.
Yeah, it's the same as that previous question about Rangatahi.
Yes. Okay, yes. Let's go to another box.
Okay, 28.
28. All right. She's making me work for it.
So you can relax at the end.
There we go, number 20. Wellington City Council has committed to normalising te reo Māori. There is a slight difference to this question. How much te reo do you speak, and how will you encourage and help other councillors to increase their use?
In answer to the first sentence, normalising te reo Māori isn't naming a street, and it isn't putting a something in the traffic light that looks red and green. That is not what normalising te reo Māori. For me, normalising te reo Māori is having the ability to be at the decision-making table to actually kōrero, and the other person and the other people on the other side can either interpret it or it's being interpreted for them. That's te reo Māori usage. In terms of the te reo Māori that I speak, Unfortunately, I too did not have the ability to attend kohanga reo, kura kaupapa Māori, or those opportunities that are now in without telling you my age. However, I was brought up to understand tikanga and what was right in te ao Māori. That there is a point of difference also. My children are fluent speakers of te reo and they have that opportunity. And I absolutely support that. Being taught te reo Māori isn't always about a class and going to an education centre. It's also about having the ability to sit next to those of us that know it and be immersed in it. It's not just about a textbook. There's more to learning te reo Māori than that. And I yearn for that ability, and I don't have that ability because my kaumātua, my tupuna, my kuia are not here to do that. So one of the things that I think would encourage councillors to understand that is to know what it means to not have the reo. To know what it means to not understand tikanga. To know what it means to be the lone voice at the table. Because being Māori is often that. And I'm really comfortable to be that Māori alongside anybody else who sits next to me. And that's what I will do to ensure that te ao Māori is the kaupapa of council.
Fantastic. Oh, I didn't. Okay, I'm just having a moment. It's fine. Right, fantastic. Thank you so much. Nico, choose a number, please.
Number 8, please.
Number 8, all right. And Ellie, I'm sorry to tell you, but you did tell us how old you are. You're 21.
Kia ora. It was a great birthday.
Brilliant. All right, and we have question number 6. Newtowners put forward an excellent plan for high-density housing which didn't impact our low-rise areas. How will you support this plan if you're elected?
Kia ora. So I have had a look at this plan with my campaign manager. It was on a day where we had a few other things to look through, so I can't tell you the exact specifics of all of this. That said, I do understand that they put forward a number of really good areas around Ridderford Street and the hospital, which could be upgraded with density without compromising the facades and storefronts. I think that's a reasonable option. And as councillor, I'm committed to improving our housing density wherever we can, whilst preserving, where possible, the unique heritage of our city's architecture. It is nice to be able to see our history in the buildings that we walk past every day, but I think it's nicer to have our whānau with a warm, dry home and a roof over their head. So sometimes hard decisions do have to be made, but I'm committed to engaging with the Newtown community and all communities across our city to deliver a workable density model for our city. Kia ora.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. All right. Final box.
Okay.
Let's go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Matthew will take 24.
24. All right. And that is question number 9. I cycle every day in Wellington. No, not me personally. Yes, even in the interesting weather. What are you doing to support me as I help you reduce congestion and fight climate change? Please be specific and address safety concerns of cyclists.
I am a cyclist too. It's my preferred mode of travel. I understand your concerns. I once thought that Wellington is not a good city for cycleways because of driveways and narrow roads, but I came to the conclusion that we just have to get on with it, in quotation marks. We need to build safe cycleways as early and as fast as we can to ensure the benefits you describe and others. I favour the transitional approach which allows for trials before making permanent changes. Cycling and cycleways are part of Wellington's future. I would like to see more effort from council in communicating the benefits of cycleways and cycling to non-cyclists. This includes the benefits to businesses and other road users. I would also like to see support for getting more people on bikes. I will advocate for grants to support cycle programs, especially for Māori, Pacific, and new migrant communities. Kia ora.
All right, thank you for that. And now it is 8 o'clock, so we are going to take our break. When we come back, I will be back over there, and we will be doing hard-hitting questions. We'll see you shortly. All right, welcome back, everybody. We've had a good break and our candidates have had a mingle with our audience and each other, which is fantastic to see. So going into hard-hitting questions, these are questions that every candidate has to answer, and I'm sorry, but you cannot use your dodge or your defer cards. So, all right, let's try that again. Hard-hitting question number 1. What is your position on the Three Waters reform and why have you come to that position? Nico, take it away.
Kia ora. Yeah, so I realise this is definitely another one of those hot button issues that's being asked at Meet the Candidate events all over the motu at the moment. So I think my answer won't be particularly unique. That said, what I will say about Three Waters is I appreciate the intent, and I think it is definitely a fact that water infrastructure, as we can see so obviously in our capital city, has been neglected by local bodies for a matter of decades. That said, I am skeptical of centralisation by government where iwi are not necessarily made an integral part of the process. There have been moves made in more recent times by the minister to increase Māori representation in the implementation plan of Three Waters, but there were flags raised early on by people like Rawiri Waititi of the Māori Party that hinted that these might be more token gestures and not adequate tiriti compliant governance roles that would be assigned to iwi hapu and Māori community leaders. So my position is broadly in favour of the intent, although I do have reservations about the ability of local communities to have control over their way and also the opportunity for Māori to have sovereignty over their share of their ancestral waters, which I believe is of paramount importance.
All right, thank you. Ali, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that I believe that Minister Mahuta had every intention that Māori would be at the table because we are a te tiriti partner. So in terms of the Three Waters reform, as a te tiriti partner, yes, I agree. And if councils are not in that space of having Māori at the table, they are not acting as a te tiriti partner.
All right, thank you. And Ray, do you have Matthew's answer ready?
Is that Matthew Rawiti?
Reweti? Yes.
Matthew's answer is, short and succinct also, I strongly support Three Waters. It will allow us to access funding that we can't currently. This will allow councils to reassess budgets. I do believe we should look at other measures and capacity building too, in case Three Waters or alternatives is dragged out.
All right, thank you. So moving on to hard-hitting question number 2. Could you please share your thoughts on COVID-19 vaccination and whether you have any affiliation with Voices for Freedom, Freedom Rights Coalition, or any other organisation in the occupation of Parliament? Now, I believe that you two have both partially answered this question already, so you may answer just the other part unless you would like to reiterate. So, Ali, we'll get you to start this time, please.
No. Carl. And my position on vaccination, it's collective responsibility. He Māori aho. We take care of each other. Manakitanga, rangatiratanga. And in order for us to do that, it's a collective responsibility. The occupation of Parliament, disrespectful. Disrespectful regardless. Do unto others as you would do unto yourself. And no, I don't go to church every Sunday. However, I do have respect for others. And if the voices of freedom need to allow people to have their voice without being dictated to, without being abused, and without being told they are wrong because they're ruining somebody else's lifestyle. Being Māori is about wānanga. Wānanga, wānanga. You don't have to agree, but you damn right should respect the view of others.
Brilliant, thank you. Right, we're going to round robin, so can we get Matthew's answer, please?
Aye. Phone on power saving mode. Matthew's answer. I believe in science and that vaccines are effective and save lives. I am vaccinated and boosted and will continue to take boosters if asked. I am not affiliated to any organisation involved in the parliamentary occupation, including VFF or FARC. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And so, Nico, your turn.
Yeah, totally tautoko both of those answers. I'm in favour of a science-based, public health-based approach to vaccination, and for that reason, I am also vaccinated and boosted. I am totally opposed to the occupation of Parliament, and I think it was a show of real privilege for those people who turned up there and were allowed to stay for a whole month before anything was done. Now, one thing I will say is I actually was there on the day that the riots kicked off, because I saw a lot of angry brown people and a lot of angry cops looking at each other. And we know historically that that particular pairing does not go well. So I went down and I provided medical care to our whānau who had been conned and coaxed into an illegal occupation and were then hurt by the police force in response. What I saw down there is all of the predominantly Pākehā conspiracy theorists and organizers had scarpered the minute things turned ugly, and the only people who were left were a whole bunch of really angry and misled Māori. And I felt that my heart break. That was the saddest thing that I've seen, I think, in a very, very long time. I treated a young Māori woman who had had a rubber bullet that had struck her head, and she was bleeding from the head very profusely. After treating that wound, she was pretty out of it, and we had to get her to Newtown Hospital in a hurry. At the time, I was looking at some of the people around her, some of the mamai, some of the hurt and the anger on their faces as that woman was getting carried away. And what I saw was not Māori who are angry about vaccines or think that for some reason they're going to implant a tracking chip or, poison you or all of these other nonsense things that are being promulgated by the organizers of that protest. What I saw was someone who was part of a community that had been continually failed by our health system, continually let down by a government and a colonial entity that did not take into consideration the rights and personal security of Māori people. And for that reason, they had allowed themselves to be conned by these conspiracy groups. So, bit of a long answer there, but absolutely opposed to all of it. And I'm really, really sad that so many of our whānau were dragged into that mess.
All right, thank you for that, everybody. So, hard-hitting question number 3. What do you believe your role as a Māori Ward councillor will be, and how will you best represent our voice among the other 14 councillors around the table? Nico, you get to go first.
Kia ora. Yep. So my aspiration is nothing less than the total fulfillment of Te Tiriti o Waitangi. For that reason, I will never, ever back down on our people around the council table, no matter what. That said, there is a lot of difficulty when you're dealing with an urban Māori population that come from many different iwis around the motu, many different mana whenua groups. Even in Wellington, we have 3, including 1 tribal confederation. I myself hail from mana whenua of Ngāti Tō Rangatira, and I believe that whoever achieves this position as the first Māori Ward councillor in Wellington must use their position to take into account the ambitions and aspirations of mana whenua, of all other Māori living in the city, and Māori as a general population around the country who are and always have been a sovereign nation. So my aspirations for this seat are transformational, and I will stop at nothing to implement tino rangatiratanga and honour the tiriti wherever I can.
Awesome, thank you. Ali, you're up next.
So as a Māori Ward councillor, it is really important to understand your values. And for myself and what is consistent for all Māori, whether you're mana whenua, taurā here, wherever you stand and wherever you place your feet, Our values and our tikanga are important. And that is something that, yes, Māori do agree on. So the things like manaakitanga, taking care of each other regardless of what colour you are at the table. Kotahitanga, allowing the space for all voices to be heard equally and in an equitable manner. Rangatiratanga, to be able to allow others to stand in their space and do it well and be heard. Listen, be heard, and be respectful about that. Those are 3 values that I take very seriously. The other most important thing about being a Māori ward councillor is whakapapa. Everybody has a whakapapa. And they bring that whakapapa to the table regardless. And the things from the past must inform the future. And that there is a tangata whenua response across the board by all Māori across the country, and that is something that I believe that we stand collective on right across Aotearoa, regardless of what iwi, what hapu, what wano, and what marae, and what whānau we are all associated to. Because that's where we get our strength. Our strength is being one people, regardless of all of those other matters. So as the first Māori ward councillor here, that will be what I will take to the table. I will represent the voice of the people, regardless of what spectrum of the community they come from. And I will always go back to that equity issue. Those voices that are least likely to be heard must have a voice and must be represented. And that's the Māori voice that I will bring to the table. I have much respect and I have very strong relationships with mana whenua here already with the mahi that I do. The voice among the 14 councillors is the voice of we all represent somebody, we all belong to somebody, and collectively we must do something. So get rid of the hoha around who should be doing what and what I need for myself, and let's start thinking collectively in order to ensure that Wellington is transformational, the vibe comes back, everybody is taken care of regardless of where you sit in the community, and let's just damn well work together and make the changes that are needed.
Fantastic. That's exactly what the council is supposed to do. They are supposed to work together for the good of their community. Thank you so much. Now, can we please get Matthew's answer for hard-hitting question number 3?
If, with your support, I am successful and become the first Māori Ward City Councillor, I will see it as my job to represent all Māori who voted for me, all Māori who didn't vote for me, and all Māori who couldn't vote for me because they were on the general roll. I will also apply a Māori perspective for the benefit of all Wellingtonians. Creating room for other voices is important to me. I want to see more Māori participating in local government. I want to see our people making submissions and sharing their whakaaro. It will be my mission to help tangata whenua navigate council. I also haven't talked about the aspirations of our people. I want to support tangata whenua to have excellent careers and be successful in business. I want to see Māori businesses get an increased share of economic development funding. Māori business tend to be long-term, intergenerational, and employ Māori. The Māori economy contributes to rates. Wellington Tenth, for example, pays $1 million per annum. We have been here for more than 182 years. Ake. Also, there are 14 other councillors and 1 mayor. and at committee 2 mana whenua representatives. I will represent tangata whenua by providing a strong and informed voice. I will work collaboratively with the representatives and the iwi Leadership Committee to represent all Māori. I will be accessible because I am community focused. At the table, I can provide historical reference to local issues because I've lived here all my life. I have whakapapa to original landowners dating back to the 1830s. I can also provide informed advice on local matters to other councillors, speeding up decision making. I can achieve gains for all Māori by expeditious consultation with mana whenua. I have extensive connections with existing councillors, new candidates, council officers, and most importantly, the community I represent. Thank you, Matthew. Kia ora.
All right, thank you for that. Now, we have some time to kill, so would our candidates like to open our final 3 boxes? We're happy for your input. We don't
14.
have to. Right. Sounds like a pretty solid
14.
Right. Oh, Ray's going to take over for me. So he hasn't turned the camera around. Oh, he has. Hey, good on him.
Question 27. We need more affordable housing. How will you ensure more land is freed up to build high-density housing? Will you advocate for the council to help buy land in the right places, such as along the city to southern corridor?
Affordable housing. Some of the things mentioned in this question, I don't necessarily agree with. From a cultural perspective, high-density housing doesn't allow us to connect as a people. It does not allow us to be who we are as Māori. However, I think there's a bigger picture to this whole affordable housing corridor that is circulating across many places. I have a huge reputation and experience working for the most vulnerable communities and housing them. And affordable housing comes at a cost. And often the people that I work with, affordable housing isn't even on their radar. A milk and a bread is, but somewhere sustainable is something better to look forward to. I believe that the council has taken a position on community housing that they didn't think through very well. As a person who leads 2 community housing entities, we're already here and ready to build. And I keep getting told that the Wellington City Housing is going to become a community housing provider. Why do we have to wait for them? What's the hold up? There are many community housing providers already in the city that are ready to move, that provide strong wraparound services to the most vulnerable that require these houses, have designs in place that are suitable for more than just one part of the community. Let's look at housing and with a wider view. Let's look at housing as an opportunity to ensure that our mokopuna can move straight back into those houses that we build today. Housing is not about today. It is not a commodity, and I believe that some of the decisions that are being made by council now is to pay off some debt that they should have sorted out before. Let's not use the current housing crisis to sort out the business that should have been sorted out a long time ago. Right now, I know community housing providers that are actually building in the Lower Hutt region but are based central Wellington. What's that about? We're ready to move. We have the support of not only the people in the government sector, we have land. Get rid of the barriers. Get the infrastructure moving so we can do this. Think about the health and disability of our people, which is not about the parents who have babies. Intergenerational way of living will not get taken care of with just high density housing. Open your minds up and take a look at what's happening around the world. Everybody, and more than just high density housing, should be thought about in the wider spectrum. We can't continue to allow one part of the community to dictate how we live now and what we build for the future of our mokopuna when it comes to housing.
I love the passion in that. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, Nico, choose your last box. Kind of?
I'll go for number 15, please.
Question number 13. What is your current stance on developing safe cycle lanes throughout the city?
Support them and let's have more.
Okay, short and sweet, gotta love it. So that means, right, that means you get box number 25.
It's not as good as the last question and the or answer. I'm almost in
Would you
tears
like
from
me
that
to
answer.
read it out for you?
Question number 2, his response.
Push the button. Question number 2. What is your biggest priority for the next term and how do you intend on delivering that? Raise Heidi.
Matthew's answer to question number 2. I believe this to be fast-tracking new housing and infrastructure to support the city to be a place to live. This includes zoning to allow intensified building, completing the cycleway network, creating more bus lanes, walking plans, designing for those with reduced mobility and accessible issues, and more community facilities. In short, promoting the 15-minute city concept. These measures are also important for tackling climate change. I will be voting for these priorities. Funding for infrastructure like safe cycleways and more bus lanes would be a priority because reducing car dependency has far-reaching benefits for all Wellingtonians, including those who need to use their car or choose to far-reaching benefits for all Wellingtonians, including those who need to use their car or choose to use their car. As well as prioritizing funding, I would support lobbying central government for funding to complete infrastructure such as cycleways and LGWM, which I'm not clear what that is.
Let's get
Wellington moving. Increasing housing will benefit tangata whenua who are more likely to rent. Stabilizing the rental market and reducing the percentage of income spent on rent are steps to home ownership. I would also support initiatives like urban papakainga and rent to own. Thank you.
I miss rent to own. I've been looking for one of those for years. All right, so we have now run out of box questions. Before we address a comment from one of our online viewers, do any of our in-studio audience have a question that they would like to throw out? I hear a no, so okay. Sam, are we able to get that comment on screen, please? Okay, we're just trying to figure out how to pull it up.
Just say it.
And then, actually, yeah. Ray, can you give Sam the microphone? Oh, there we go. Right. What a shit show. No wonder the vast majority of people are totally disconnected from the train wreck of local body politics. That's not the one that we were looking for.
Oh, are we the shit show, or is?
Not sure who the shit show is.
It's the
I hope
same
it's not
person.
me. Yeah.
But no, there was another comment. But okay, Sam's going to read that out for me, and I'm going to address it.
Oh, that's somebody's.
There we go.
Basically, from what I've gathered, that this member who is talking to our group, who is Gil Booth, is like, we get no funding whatsoever for the show. So don't sit down there and say we're funded by the UN or by local government New Zealand. Okay, I've put a hell of a lot of time and effort in order to make this show work, and I've had a lot of bullshit and a lot of crap from a lot of centres and a lot of up-entitled people over this. I've had crap from people who are white, racist people who sit down there and have a go at me because I like to support the fact we're Māori and we're supporting Māori words because there's a national language in our country. So, yes, you might be offended by the show. Doesn't mean you have to sit there and tune in. You can sit down there and leave. And if you want to, you can also leave the group. You only just joined earlier today. I encourage free speech and that sort of thing, but I don't encourage people sitting there dissing my show and trying to make it sit down there and call out to conspiracy theories across the world, which we have nothing to deal with and nothing to do with. So don't sit down there and say any of that bullshit on my show again. Otherwise, you will be booted out because, as I say, we get no funding from local government New Zealand, and we're getting definitely no funding from the UN. I don't even think the UN would even know this show exists. And I definitely know local government New Zealand, we're probably on their radar because we're making waves and we're getting people informed all over the country. We've even exposed the neo-Nazi that has been on our show.
Not knowingly.
Not knowingly.
But we do feel that every candidate standing should be allowed to have their voice heard. And we didn't know that at the time. So.
And actually, to be honest, we've been accused of also not inviting candidates when we have been. So, there's a lot of there. So, yes, I'm not in the host seat tonight. I'm in a different seat. But I don't like it when people sit there and say that absolute drivel on my show. So, just be noted. You've been warned.
Right. So for a bit of a calmer response, thank you, Sam. Absolutely and unequivocally, no. We have received absolutely no funding apart from what has come from a couple of candidates who are not even in the Wellington City Council, and from ticket buyers who have donated $5 or occasionally less for a ticket to watch the show. Everything that we are doing, just about, is coming out of Sam's other businesses' pocket. Not even city councils are funding us to do this. I may right now be sitting in front of a New Zealand flag, wrong way, a New Zealand flag, but that's only because it is in the venue that we are currently in. Everything is being funded out of Sam's own pocket. So, no. But, thanks for trying. Come again. Right, so now that we've gotten through that, is there anything not exciting, because I guess that was it. Do we have any online questions for our candidates?
We only had absolute racist drivel.
Okay, no, apparently we only have drivel in the comment section tonight. So,
Hope you've got a bib.
I tell you what, if we are getting some of that UN funding, I think we could chuck it towards the cycleways, or let's get Wellington moving.
Yes, we should definitely be getting it into Wellington, getting Wellington moving, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, feed the hungry and the homeless, as Sam said.
But however, since we're in a church, tingoa te matua me te tamaiti me te wairua tapu. Amine.
Amen.
Turn it off if you don't want to listen.
Right, yes, as Sam said earlier,
Kumatu?
if you are not impressed by what is going on with our show, you can turn it off at any point. You are in your own home, change the channel. You are on the internet, you have infinite choices. So, I think we're going to leave it there, and we are going to move into our closing statements. Does anyone in particular want to lead us off? I think our candidates are having a bit too much of a giggle right now.
Has Matt started one?
Does Matt have a closing statement, or is that everything from Matthew? Ray has left his phone and his microphone behind. He will double check. Hold on a moment. Okay, no, unfortunately we do not have a closing statement from Matthew, so Nico, take it away.
Okay, kia ora. Hey, thank you all at home for tuning into this quite interesting evening. It's my first time. It's my first time on a show like this, so I think we've done pretty well. I think, yeah. I tell you what, whānau, I've been to a few of these debates now, and I think everybody who is Māori in Te Whanganui-a-Tara can be really thankful that we have 3 really awesome candidates that are standing for this seat. I personally, as a Māori voter, feel really, really confident that whoever of us takes that seat, that the seat will be in good hands. That said, I'd love it to be me. So, as I mentioned at the start, whānau, my priorities are growing a green, sustainable city with green spaces, public transport, more dense, affordable housing for our whānau, and a climate resilience plan that takes into account the urgent reality of climate change that is already here. Aside from that, I will apply a tiriti lens on all of my mahi within the role of Māori councilor, and I will also push to return our land back to our tangata whenua who have been here for time immemorial. Aside from that, whānau, you can count on me for good relationship building, getting things done, and never backing down on our people 1 inch. Kia ora.
Right, ngā mihi. Ellie, take it away, please.
What he said. Nah. Kia ora, firstly, thank you to the organisers. Like Nico, I was like, okay, what's happening here? First time, virgin campaigner, absolutely virgin campaigner. But every bit of me is about Māori. To all you racist assholes, we're not going anywhere. We are here to stay. Our voice is important. And if you don't like it, you know what to do. We are resilient. We've been here for many, many years. This is our land. We represent our voice. And we will create the space for more of us to step into. As the Māori candidate, I too have a lot of respect for all Māori, and especially Nico and Matthew, for actually doing what we're doing today. It's not an easy thing to do, but if you ain't doing it, then e noho. E noho, tūtaki nā tō waha, ki pai. My position is across any decisions that are made at council, it's about consensus. It's about the collective outcome. It's about action. It's about success. It's about leadership. And most of all, it's about our mokopuna. We must start to make decisions to ensure that our mokopuna have a pathway to aspirational, successful, and rangatiratanga outcomes. That's what I stand for. And regardless of who gets in, the one thing we all have in common is that we have whakapapa. We have whakapapa, we are Māori, and we care. And unlike some of you racist pricks out there, we have respect for each other. Sleep well.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. As a voter for Te Whanganui-a-Tara myself, I thought this was going to help. I still have a very difficult decision ahead of myself. Yes, 3 amazing candidates. Unfortunately, only 2 of them could be here in person tonight. I would have loved to have been able to meet Matthew in person as well. But things happen. That is all right. Thank you, Matthew, for sending in your answers for us. Thank you to Nico and Ali for joining us here tonight. Thank you to our in-studio audience for taking the time out of your evening and being here. Unfortunately, we don't have the wide-angle camera tonight, so... Oh, there we go. Hold on. Ray's turned the camera around. Pull him up. And the other way. There we go. Yeah, look, we have an audience. Woohoo! Thank you to all of you who have joined us at home. No matter what your views, it's still more views for us. So tomorrow night, Sam will be back in the hosting seat. We will be at Kapiti Impact Hub for the Kapiti Mural Show. Thursday night, I believe we have...
Hutt Central Ward, Hutt City Council.
Thank you. Hutt Central Ward for the Hutt City Council. And then on Friday night, Sam, where are we?
Te Whanganui-a-Tara Ward, Wellington City Council.
Hey, you said it right this time. Good on you. Motukairangi Eastern Ward for Wellington Central at the Pōneke Rugby Club in Kilburnie. We will be back, well, there or here, depending on how you're joining us, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Thank you so much. See you next time.